if we jump to Deuteronomy 1:26, because of their fear, what happened? Moses tells them, he says, but you were unwilling to go up. Unwilling to go up. You rebelled against the command of the Lord your God. Rebelled. You grumbled in your tents. So you see that they were unwilling, they rebelled, they grumbled. So even though God had been good to them, even though God had miraculously delivered them, even though God had been faithful to them, they were unwilling to obey God. They rebelled against the instructions of God and they grumbled. Look at what they said. They said, the Lord hates us. Those are strong words. The children of Israel are so ungrateful. They said, the Lord hates us. So what? He brought us out of Egypt to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites to destroy us. And so often we are the same way. We forget the goodness of God in the past and then we grumble in the midst of our crisis. This is the same God who delivered them from slavery after hundreds of years under Egyptian authority. The same God who parted the sea for them so that they could walk through. The same God who gave them manna from heaven. The same God who worked ahead of them as fire by night and cloud by day. They switch around and suddenly say, no, the Lord hates us. So we must be careful. We must be careful. Because not only does fear lead to doubt and disobedience, it can cause us to grumble and have an attitude of ingratitude towards God. They said, where can we go? Our brothers have made our hearts melt in fear. That's a key word there. They say, the people are stronger and taller than we are. The cities are large with walls up to the sky. We even saw the Anakites there. See what Moses does. Verse 29. Then I, that is Moses, said to you, do not be terrified. Do not be afraid of them. The Lord your God, who is going before you, will fight for you as he did for you in Egypt before your very eyes and in the wilderness. There you saw how the Lord carried you as a father carries his son all the way you went until you reached this place. So when they are being afraid, when they are taking their focus off God, Moses is trying to redirect their focus back to God. He's telling them that what the Lord is going to go ahead of them. So the battle is not theirs. God is going to go ahead of them. So when God says to them, go and take possession of the land, God has already gone ahead of them. God is going to fight for them. And Moses reminds them that God will do the same thing he did in Egypt before their very eyes, even in the same situation. He even appeals to their situation. He even appeals and tells them, he reminds them of the tender nature and the mercies of God. He refers to God as a father who carries his son all the way you went until you reach this place. He used the picture of a father carrying his child, his son, constantly, never leaving the son, never dropping the son. And that shows intimacy. It shows love. It shows mercy. It shows concern. It shows the protective nature of God towards this rebellious people. But what happened? In spite of everything that Moses said, in spite of everything that God had done, verse 32 tells us, in spite of this, you did not trust in the Lord your God. The Lord your God who went ahead of you on journey in fire by night and in cloud by day, to search out places for you to camp and to show you the way you should go. Moses was trying to remind them that God is a God of the impossible. He's trying to remind them that God was the one who made a way where there seemed to be no way. He's trying to remind them that God was faithful then. They can count on God to be faithful now. There's two lessons here, and then we'll close. When we go through crisis, when we go through trials, when we go through challenges, are we going to be like the children of Israel in the situation? Or are we going to be like Caleb and be like David? Are we going to turn to God and remind ourselves of the goodness of God, the power of God, the faithfulness of God? And in that case, allow our situations to seem like a grasshopper, to be small compared to how big our God is? Or are we going to focus on the situation and be overcome by fear and doubt? And in that case, we become like grasshoppers in the face of that situation. And then we turn our backs to the goodness of God. Remember, there was a reward for Caleb for following God wholeheartedly. Caleb was rewarded for following God wholeheartedly. David was rewarded for following God wholeheartedly. There was battles, yes. There will be battles, yes. But the Lord goes ahead of us. The Lord fights for us. And the Lord is faithful to his children. So in every situation we have a choice to be like David and Caleb or to be like the children of Israel. One posture will fill us with faith, the more we focus on the goodness of God, and the other posture will fill us with fear and doubt. And that grieves the heart of God. God does not take that lightly. Because when we do that, we are saying that God is not big enough to deal with our situation. We're saying that God's purpose is not ideal enough to take us through that purpose. We're saying that God is not able to deal with that situation, and that grieves the heart of God, because he himself has said that is there anything too hard for him? So in closing, nothing is too hard for God. If he hasn't done it yet, it doesn't mean he hasn't done it or he can't do it. It means that he might have a different plan for us, or there's a different place that he's taking us to. And all we need to do is wait and be patient. No matter what we go through, the first place that we must turn to is the Lord. For strength, for help, and for wisdom. Let's pray.